Mm. What up, what up, what up? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Come on in, come on in. What up? What up, what up, what up? Oh, man. Man, it's been a few days since I did a live. The last time I went live Friday. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah. Like 4 days. Yeah. What's going on? Just came on here real quick. I had a challenge out beginning of last month, 50K gross for the month of June. I only got one update. I know one guy that definitely did 50K. But the only person that hit me up yesterday on the first was Costas, and Costas is in a cargo van, and man, what he did last month in the cargo van, it just we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. That's why he's been missing, because he's been working. But man, come on in, come on in. I want to know what everybody's gross was for the month of June. I want to see who got close, or who hit the 50, or who went above and beyond that 50. What was your earnings for June? What was your earnings for June? What was your earnings for June? Brandon Diaz, what's up? Maximize Trucking, what up? What was the earnings for June? Did anybody hit the 50K threshold that I set out at the beginning of June? Or did people come short? Kind of quiet. A lot of people came up short, huh? Kind of quiet. Who hit the 50K in June? Kadu said new here, not close to 50. Okay. It was a good month to get at it. I had a lot of personal affairs to attend. I knew I wasn't going to get close. Okay. Brandon Diaz said he's currently a driver. Okay. Kadu said my first time hearing about it. Yeah, I had a 50K challenge that I set out beginning of June. And I knew one person hit me up halfway through that was a little more than halfway there. I'm sure he got it because he's in the moving business. Costas hit me up yesterday morning with his numbers, but he's in a cargo van. He didn't hit 50K, but Costas did 31,000 in a cargo van, which is exceptional. Exceptional. And this is where, he's been missing for months. He usually was in every live stream. And even Axel hit me up like, man, have you heard from Costas? Because he usually, anytime I went live or if Axel went live, he was in both of our live streams, but he was so exhausted from accepting that challenge to hit that goal. He did $31,000 in a cargo van. Me challenging him enabled him to go out and do what was best for him, right? So, the average number for a box truck is about 5K a week, 20,000 a month. He did 31,000. Just that little push pushed him to go above and beyond and exceed what an average person. Listen, there's people out here complaining that they can't even do 3 a week in a 26-foot box truck. And him just listening to me, and he's came on the channel and talked about when he found my channel, how he started listening to me and Just even taking on that challenge gave him that extra push. So the money is there. Shows proof, that, this whole cheap freight shit. And he runs OTR in a cargo van. I know he switched it up a little bit when I told him, like, and I talked about market, how him being in Chicago where he doesn't have to necessarily do what he was doing, especially that whole, what was he doing? That whole thing where he was driving, was he going to Iowa? Was he going somewhere and then deadheading back? But 31 in a cargo van is exceptional. So I don't want to hear a person who has more capacity complaining. There's no reason you should be complaining. There's opportunity everywhere. But you're going to have to work. There's no way around it. I know your favorite person told you didn't have to work, but you see now that it was a lie. You can get whatever you want. You just have to put the effort in. So if he did 31 in June in a cargo van, what do you think you could have did with a 26-footer? The only one that reached out to me. And that was a win. That was a win. I know moving company hustle far exceeded 50K. He was more than halfway to the 50K before June 15th. Now, I already know he exceeded. He has a fleet of trucks and he's in moving. So I haven't heard from him yet, but I'm sure, I'm 100% positive he exceeded. So those are the two people. No one else has let me know. Did someone even get close to 50K? I guess not. I guess not. Listen, the reason why I set that number, and I don't think the number was inflated. I set the number because I know it can be done. Especially in June. It can definitely be done in July. It can be done in August. I didn't expect a lot of people to get to that number, but I wanted to push people to go above and beyond. Right? Sometimes people need a little push, right? So that they can go above and beyond. If a person is averaging 15,000 and I gave them that challenge and it pushed them and they went from an average of 15,000 to 25 or 26 or 27,000, that would give them the insight. Damn, that little push, that little challenge, it forced me to go out and work a little bit harder. And I see now what working a little bit harder can get me. And then you're going to continue to chase that. Matthew Dobson said 50K on an 18-wheeler box truck, on a box truck. And I know not everybody was going to make it. But if I got a guy that did 31 in a cargo van, what's a 26-foot owner-operator of a 26-foot box truck excuse? If there's a guy out here literally that showed me 31,000 in a cargo van, and when I put that challenge out, y'all didn't hear from Costas no more. Costas, like Maximize Trucking, is usually a first person here. He wasn't even on none of Axel. I can screenshot the text like, man, have you heard from Costas? Maybe he went to Greece. Maybe he went back to Greece on vacation. He accepted the challenge and he's been working like a dog for the past 30 days. I'm really proud of him. 31,000 in a cargo van are exception. That's an exceptional gross for a cargo van. He doesn't have a 2,500. He doesn't have a 3,500. He has a 150 that doesn't even have a high roof. He doesn't even have a high roof. There's a 1,500. So the earning potential is definitely there. You just have to, everything that I've been telling people that they need to do, you just need to do it. Apply and do it. It's not hard. The people that listen, they come back and they give their testimonies. This is why I don't have a lot of the issues that you see a lot of other people have on the internet that are in this space. Yeah, you got some people that don't like the way I present because it may seem a little bit harsh, but it's business. I never known business to be fluffy and soft. Shout out to MD, long time no see. Where you been at? Matthew Dobson said, you got a course or something? I have on MC Authority. No courses. Something else just came across my understanding this morning that, we've been talking about, that we know is coming. Well, I know it's coming. People who don't just live in the moment, but they're constantly looking ahead. Some came across my understanding this morning, and I think it's going to start spreading throughout the country, probably the blue states first. But we were the first state to do it. Our governor, which to me is the stupidest shit ever, you know what I'm saying? But this, it's just, it's evident now, right? So Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, effective yesterday, passed a law that illegal migrants, keyword illegal, can go to the Secretary of State and get a driver's license. So an illegal migrant, someone that crossed the border illegally, can go get a driver's license. Now, you see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with it? Do I have to go further? Here in the state of Illinois, effective yesterday, an illegal migrant can go get a driver's license. You had something that was called a temporary visitor's driver's license. So they basically replaced that. Legal immigrant, well, not even an immigrant, an illegal migrant. Back in my day, they were called illegal aliens, but now that we live in a soft society, we have to put words in more, softer context. So we can't say illegal aliens anymore. We have to say an illegal migrant seeking asylum can go to the Illinois Secretary of State and get a driver's license. So guess what? Box truck driver, cargo van driver. Do I need to go into further detail of where I'm going with this? People out there complaining about cheap freight, this, that. Listen, those 2 trucks that I've been holding on to, I'm not selling them. I'd rather let them just rot. Because if I post them for sale, you already know who's coming to buy them. I'd rather let them rot. I'm not going to contribute to that. So to the individual who's out there that's complaining now, who's not doing what's in the best interest of them, that's complaining about cheap freight, this, that, and the third, because they don't know their operation costs, they don't know their cost per mile, guess what's going to happen? What you think it's cheap now? About to have an infusion of people come into the market that have legal license. So, if they come up with the money, they can go get a non-CDL box truck or a non-CDL cargo van. They come from third world countries, so they're already accustomed to delayed gratification. They're not entitled, right? They're trying to get it so that they can bring more people over here, right? In a city like mine, where the cost of living is extremely high, they're going to have to further delay their gratification. So you'll have multiple families living in one home because wages are going to go down, because now they'll take on the jobs that the American citizen won't take on, right? For less. And they'll enter into all the gig, which they already see them doing with the food shit, but now they can be rideshare drivers. They can go out and get a cargo van and get on your courier apps. They can run loads. They can do all this stuff now. Get your shit together. Get your shit together. Get your shit together. I'm telling you, everything that I talk about, it always comes into fruition. They're going to accept them. They already got cars. They were driving cars illegally anyway. So now they can just drive them legally. You think they're not going to get a box truck or a cargo van? They already got cars. They've been here a year and already have cars. See, this is why I speak so much about economy and things of that nature. Eventually, things are going to have to reset. This is what's going to help the reset. A lot of businesses aren't going to be able to survive. You see so many businesses going out of business because the operational costs are so high that, it's just best for a lot of these places just to, say, our time is done. We're going to fail. But this is going to help things, kind of reset over the next few years. Somebody said, how often are you home making $50K a month? Well, I think you're referring more to a semi-truck driver. This isn't a semi-truck channel. This is a box truck and a cargo van type of channel. We do talk about semi-trucks here and there, but the channel's focus isn't primarily centered around semi-trucks, OTR, semi-trucking. The Mac family. Patrick Byrne, what's going on? Bronco Logistics, you're not lying. I have a family on my block that 15 people in a 3-bedroom, afternoon. So the work is going to get harder. So once again, shout out to Costas for making that $31,000, taking the challenge last month, doing $31,000 in a cargo van. I know I promised you guys that I'm going to shoot some content with me, just getting out there and just from a field perspective. I promised it to you 2 months ago, and then I said June 1st, and now it's July 1st. But like I'm just comfortable, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to take mentally a lot for me to do that because I haven't done it in a couple years. But I'm going to try to make it happen for you guys, and hopefully by the mid part of July to kind of, give a little guidance visually from being out there in the field. I'm not going to promise you it's going to be every day, but if I do commit to it, I may commit to a week here and there where I just do it and then shoot content around it. Hopefully I can find like maybe a cameraman that can do it, and then I'll just IRL stream for like a week and we'll just do some thumbtack. Maybe we'll focus on thumbtack one day. I know I've given you my strategies in my live streams, but I'll show you the implementation of those strategies um, um, in the active form. So maybe focus one day on thumbtack, maybe focus one day on one of these gig apps. We'll go from there. Uh, Celine Rodriguez said, "No need to stay home. You need to keep moving those loads. I would drive for you." Yeah, Celine, I've been retired for 2 years. Um, I'm not interested, but appreciate it though. Uh, uh, yeah, so I'm gonna try to get into that maybe mid-month. All right, I'm actually gonna go to the yard today and take Chuck 3 to my truck place. Just have it, inspect it. Truck has been sitting for 2 years. Make sure all the clearance lights and everything are working. Probably put a new battery in there. Just have them sit with the truck for a couple of days and see what needs to be done from it sitting, and then make sure it's ready to go, which is the proper thing you're supposed to do after the truck has been sitting for a while. And then I did call them this morning. They told me obviously Thursday is a holiday, so it'll probably be about a week. If I drop it today, they'll look at it probably tomorrow or probably Friday since Thursday's a holiday. So earliest I'll probably get that truck back will probably be end of next week. And then hopefully week after that, we can start looking for some opportunities so that I can start implementing a lot of this stuff on the channel that I've been talking about, but just actually going out and doing it. And we'll do it from an IRL perspective. Well, I'm looking into how I'm going to pull it off. I don't know if we just going to go do a full whatever stream the whole day. Looking at the equipment, do I want to hire not a driver, but just a cameraman to shoot it, or is there something that I can strap to me like I had last week and just do it that way? So I'm still looking into that. How to become a member? Just go to the main channel page and hit join. Um, uh, What's a good startup cost for beginners? It all depends on what aspect of logistics you're looking to get into. Um, it's going to be different from a cargo van versus a 16-footer versus a 26-footer versus a semi-truck. Depending on where you're at and your knowledge, I always tell people to start small. That's how I started. I started small. I can't give you, I don't, the way I started was very humbly. I started what I had and I built from there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the individual that just jumped in with a 26-foot box truck. I wasn't that fortunate. Even if I was that fortunate, there's a 90% chance that I would have failed, right? Uh, so, if you're new to logistics, you don't have anyone that's experienced to kind of walk you through and hold your hand, I would say start very, very small, humbly, with what you have, or at minimum, a cargo van, and then just learn at a fraction of the cost than you would, if you started with a 26-foot box truck. The bigger the vehicle, the more expensive the learning curve, the more difficult, the more advanced that sector of logistics is. So I would definitely start with something less expensive, something that's easier to catch on to. So There's somebody in the chat that has a name that I don't agree with, and you want me to wish something to somebody. I'm not gonna do it. I don't even know why you would make a name like that for yourself. So we're gonna ignore you. My moderators are gonna be watching you very closely. And that's that. So I still haven't seen anybody. I mean, there's a lot of box truck people in here, cargo van people. What do you guys run at? Don't be ashamed. Just say what you in at. If you didn't come close to 50, I know that. I knew majority of people weren't gonna come close to 50. But if you went out and you took on a challenge and you exceeded what you would normally do, let us know. If you made more money in June because you accepted the challenge than you made in May, or you averaged in April, or you just averaged period, then it's a step towards the right direction. It's a step towards the right direction. And that was the whole purpose, just to motivate people to at least try, you know. So anybody got their gross numbers? Or do people just don't have their gross numbers? They don't know what they made because they're not doing their cost. Today, July 2nd, I was going to do this live yesterday, but I said I'll wait a day. I know the first is very, very, you know, busy for people in a good way and a bad way. You know, a lot of people's accounts take a hit on the first of the month. All my moving guys, y'all should be really, really busy today. Y'all should have been busy yesterday. Y'all should have been busy Sunday. You should have been busy Saturday, Friday, all the way until tomorrow. If you really a hustler, you might be working on Thursday. And nobody got their numbers, huh? It's crazy. Well, I think people have finally realized this box trucking thing ain't a joke. I was looking at 15,600. Was that you running hard, or was that you running like just laissez-faire, modest? Michael Manuel, was that a like you doing the best you can? This is your primary source of income, this box truck business? And what do? You in a 26-footer running OTR? Do you do local? What's a good price and mileage to stay under for a good cargo van? It all depends. If I was on the market for a used cargo van, I would be willing to go up to about 175,000 miles, depending on the year. I wouldn't be looking to spend any more than about somewhere between 25 to 30. But I understand that used cargo vans, the resale, you know, the resale is high on them because the demand is high. It's always been like that. I tell this story all the time, but I know you're new. When I was building my fleet and I was buying trucks and vans and stuff back in the day, I bought my first cargo van. I was looking to purchase. I was looking at used cargo vans, and I'm looking at cargo vans that had 150, 200,000 miles. That was $22,000, $23,000. I'm like, man, this is high for a cargo van. Then when I looked at the price of a new cargo van at that particular time, I bought an extended length 2500 brand new for $28,000. It made more sense to just spend the extra $6,000 and get something new, and it had a $5,000 rebate. So that's why my first vehicle, my first cargo van, I should say, that I purchased was brand new. It just made more sense. That gap of used to new has obviously widened since then, right? So if I were in the market now to get a used cargo van, I would do that. Now, if my money couldn't afford me that, I would definitely start with a 1500. I'd probably go get either a Chevy Express or a Ford T150, an extended one, for about 15 grand, 16 grand. Same miles, about 175,000 miles. Understanding that going into a Ford dealer, and I would go to Ford and get it, right? Understanding that, I knew I would be going into a Ford or Chevy dealership. They work with banks, traditional banks, your Wells Fargo's, your Bank of America, your Chase, GMAC Financial, Ally Financial, Wells Fargo, things of that nature. And I would finance it under the business. That way, if I didn't have cash, I wouldn't have to worry about going through an equipment leasing place or anything like that. What you have to deal with when you go through Penske and Ryder and, you know, some of these mom and pop dealerships. And if I had to start with a 1500, I would definitely start with a 1500. Costas has a T150, and he made $31,000 last month. He has a half ton, a T150, 1500. When your back is against the wall, you can do some amazing things. I think nowadays people have their back against the wall, and it's still not enough for them to go out and do what's in the best interest for them. There's a lot of people out here that are in back against the wall situations, and that still is not enough for them to go out and do what's in the best interest for them. I don't know where the society has gotten to, but you definitely can make something happen with a 1500 cargo van. Depending on your market. If you're in a really large market, definitely can make something happen. Doing the best you could with a 15-foot truck moving, there's a lot you could do with a 15-foot truck right now. Right now, this is peak moving season, so, you know, you can make enough money right now. Oh, 15,600, what market are you in? Are you just working doing one-man stuff? If you're doing one-man stuff, then that's pretty decent. If you're doing two-man stuff, it's pretty decent too. It's nothing to frown upon. You definitely can do better. It's between $3,000 and $4,000 a week. You know, so so how much to have a short conversation? A short conversation about what? What do you want to have a short conversation about? Two-man crew in Iowa? Small market. Not bad. About what, $3,000 to $4,000 a week. I would try to increase your workload. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to take that call. I was a small market. Let me make sure y'all can still hear me. Yep. I was a small market. If you increase your workload, you should be able to increase your gross. So on the days where you don't have any moving jobs, look to see what else you can do with that 15-foot truck. Can you do one-man stuff? Can you do, is there an IKEA in Iowa? I would try to do IKEA pickups, right? I know in Missouri, there's no IKEA. There's a couple in Missouri, because Missouri doesn't have an IKEA. They created a website. They're very creative. They created a website um, doing IKEA pickups and drop-offs. So people order things on IKEA. They drive up to Chicago. We got 2 IKEAs up here, one in Bolingbrook, one in Schaumburg. And every weekend they would have a truckload and deliver to people in Missouri, because Missouri at that time, and I don't know if they have one now, didn't have an IKEA. Right? So people go online, order their stuff for pickup. They drive up here every weekend, pick up all the orders, and then go deliver them for them. They built a lucrative business around it. All right? It was just creative. All right? You got a truck, you have to be creative. Especially if you're in a smaller market. The smaller the market, the more creative you have to be. If you're not blessed to be in a larger market where there's just opportunities around every corner, you just may have to compete. Then those smaller markets, you just have to be creative. That creativeness, you might have to parallel that with a little bit harder workload. Listen, becoming a business owner is not easy peasy. I don't know why so many people think that. I don't know why so many people on the internet promote it, but it's just not. And every time people promote that, they send a lot of people up the river. A lot of people get sent up the river thinking becoming a business owner is their way to financial freedom, and actually people that are ignorant, that don't understand that that's not true, it actually puts some people in further debt. People that are already in a bad situation, that believe that, they become in a worse situation, so would you recommend drive for someone at least a year before starting a business? Definitely. If you going into like semi-trucking, box trucking, I think you can start yourself. I just wouldn't start with a big 26-foot box truck. I would definitely start small, work your way up. I think if you start with your car or maybe a cargo van, you should be able to learn the industry over the period of a couple of years, and you can just scale up from there. I mean, starting working for someone else, that wouldn't hurt either. If let's say you take this summer and you work for a moving company, you learn all the techniques and the strategies, how to use the equipment, um, what equipment to use in what situation. If I'm moving a refrigerator up 2 or 3 flights of stairs, how should I do it? What tools or equipment should I use to do it? Things of that nature. Yeah, most definitely. It wouldn't hurt. You can get that paid training with another company with no liability associated, with it. And then when you go out, maybe the following moving season, or maybe 2 seasons after that, you have all the skills and the techniques. You know what to purchase. You can pretty much be off and running from the very beginning, and not have to make the mistakes that are associated with starting a new moving company. So it doesn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt. But if you don't go that route, I would recommend highly starting very basically, at the beginning, at the very, very humbly, and then just working your way up. Um, Adrian, you still didn't tell me what you want to have a conversation about. Well, how was everybody's weekend? Hope everybody had a good, prosperous weekend. I just wanted to come on and see what people made. Nobody said their gross. One person said 15. Costas did 31, which is exceptional in a cargo van. No moving company. Hustle hit me up. I'm pretty sure he surpassed it where he was at that particular time, but I guess a lot of people didn't hit it or get close to it. So at the end of the day, you gotta just keep working towards uh, um, making more money, grow some more money, cutting your cost, and working harder. I think that's the basic key fundamentals to being successful, and just being mindful of what's to come. If you're having a hard time now, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse, right? And I'm not saying that to be negative. It's just what it is. Like, I've lived long enough to know that in 44 years on this earth, I haven't seen things get better. I've seen the wage to cost of living gap get wider. You know what I'm saying? I've seen crime get worse, not worse to crime. Like, crime has always, existed, but now it's getting to the point where it's just, there's no even, not even, people don't even do things consciously. Old women and kids aren't spared anymore. It's just a bunch of dumb shit out here. Business is the same way. You see businesses that you would have never thought go out of business have to go out of business. You see McDonald's closing down certain locations. you know um so things don't get better over time. They get worse. You have to constantly figure out ways to adapt. You have to constantly figure out ways to keep your costs low. You have to live and operate in the present, but be mindful of what's ahead, so that when things arise, you're already prepared for them. So I've given you the play. We've been talking about it. I don't really expound on it, but we touch on it here and there, because this is not like a political channel. This is not a channel where, we talk about current events. And, there's channels that focus on illegal migrants and Tiffany Henyard and all the things that are current, where they can rack up a bunch of views because these are current things and they're trendy and stuff like that. And this is how they make their money, tens of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars a year on YouTube. But, my focus is box trucking, So, just with that, just with me telling you what, took place here yesterday with the giving illegal migrants driver's license, use your what's known don't need to be explained. All right. We got millions and millions and millions of them in. It's going to be a domino effect. I see it being a domino effect in blue states. And then what's next to come is probably voting rights. All this is the overlay for the underlay. Right. But the whole driving license thing is going to affect industries of transportation, right? And it's not going to make it better. It's going to make it better for them, but to, individuals that are already active in these sectors, whether it be cargo van, box trucking, semi-truck driving, all the way down to livery services, rideshare services, just any form of transportation, you know, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. You're going to have increased competition and ultimately lower wages. So you have to be mindful of that, because it's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and it's started. So just keep that in mind. So these places that are meant for sleep, but not for 52, but what they sleep on to get in. I hit a rock or boulder yesterday, lost my service brake going into these places that are meant for. My bad. Had another call. I had to send a voicemail. Um, Going into these places that are meant for box trucks to leave, but not for 50-footers with a sleeper on it to get in. Yeah, that's messed up, man. Hope everything works out for you and your truck, man. I've been running Amazon early morning, 3 to 4 back in the city, by 8-9 to run for my 3PL, then off by 4, averaging 759 a day. I've been tired as hell, but that bad come first. Yeah, so that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And as time goes on, things get more difficult. 10, 15 years ago, you probably wouldn't have had to work so hard to make that same amount of money. But as time goes on, this is just what I'm saying. Things don't get better. Things don't get easier. They get worse, right? So you always have to keep that in mind with business. You always got to find ways to leverage yourself. I answered that question about doing your first loads and what, a cargo van or box truck. Let me know. You gotta be a little bit more specific. I got a few more minutes and then I gotta get out of here. Gotta run some errands. What happened to the box truck space, y'all? It's been kind of dead, ain't it? It's been kind of dead, man, for a minute now, man. What happened to it? It was so lively not too long ago, wasn't it? What happened to it? It's been real quiet. Really quiet around these parts. Yeah, he said about to get a box truck, cash, run it local. That's right, you and I forgot where you at. You south somewhere. I think if you got the money cash, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. Low startup cost. Man, listen, I live downtown. I hate NASCAR. I hated it last year when it came. I'm already hating it now. They've been building it for the past 3 weeks. It takes about a month for them to build it out. I'm gonna literally be trapped in the crib Saturday and Sunday, right? Because it's gonna force all the traffic. So NASCAR is gonna run on Lakeshore Drive, which is the farthest east you can go, because after Lakeshore Drive, it's obviously Lake Michigan. So it's going to hit Lake Michigan. It's going to hit all the way to Michigan Avenue. So from like Roosevelt from like Roosevelt, Lakeshore Drive, all the way west to Michigan, all the way to about Monroe, north, and then over back to Lakeshore Drive. It's just going to be a cluster. And anything south of that, anything west of that, anything north of that is just going to bear the effects of it, because it's going to push traffic farther west, farther south, and farther north. It's bad. It's very bad if you live in the area. The residents here, we didn't want it last year. We don't want it this year. I think the city signed a 3-year contract because Chicago is a blue city, a blue state. Race car is more associated with red states. It's more of a honky tonk, type of sport. And Chicago is very blue. That was one of their concerns, as far as, a lot of people flying in from those very, very red places to a very, very blue city like Chicago, and the interaction between that type of audience mixed with the locals. They were kind of worried about it last year. Last year it got rained for the most part. They almost canceled it. But I think the weather is going to be really fair and good and warm. So, but it's already causing just bad traffic, man. but I don't think that's going to be worse than what's coming in August. August, we got the Democratic National Convention. So with Joe Biden, Kamala, every senator, every person that is a part of the Democratic Party across the country that's high profile, from all your governors, all your mayors, are all going to be here. So it's going to be a lot of motorcades, a lot of streets shut down for motorcades. Then you have to consider all the protesters that are going to be flying into the city to protest, and uh, it's going to be worse. The Democratic National Convention being hosted here is going to actually be worse than NASCAR. So, yeah. But yeah, NASCAR is going to be here this week. Are you still contemplating the car service? So I've been still researching it. There's a lot of competition in Chicago in the car service business. I think if I were to purchase a black SUV, I think I'd be able to compete. But the thing that's concerning me now is I'm not doing it to necessarily actually physically do it myself. Um, I do take Uber Black, when I go out, and I do talk to the drivers to kind of get, you know, their perspective on it from doing it. All the drivers pretty much say the same thing. They average about 100 hours a week. So with the money that the hours that they need to work, with the money that with the money that they need to make, the amount of hours that they have to work to make that money, I don't know if I see room for that much profit if I were to put a driver in it, right? Because the licenses that are associated with it here, the commercial insurance, each driver I talk to, they pay about $900,000 a month. Um, the hours that are associated with it, I don't know if there's enough margin to really start that business and profit from it from an owner's perspective. I think maybe as a broker, it makes more sense, which is why a lot of limousine companies don't exist anymore. And a lot of the black car service that you see are mostly independent owner operators that are running under um, a car service brokerage. And Uber has kind of put a lot of these car service brokerages out of business, because Uber and Lyft, you can just go do Uber Black or Uber Black SUV. And they even got it to the point where if you go on the main page when you're selecting Uber, they have Uber Chauffeur, where you can choose one for an hourly at $50 an hour. So they become pretty much the biggest brokers, to the point where how do you even compete if you want to start a brokerage? So I'm still doing research on it. That's a big commitment. I've already looked into the vehicle. I was considering an Escalade or a Suburban. I ultimately considered, if I were going to do it, going with the Suburban, because I can go brand new. There's also a law here where if you do that service, your car can't be any older than 5 years old, because it's a premium ride. So that means every 5 years you have to get a new vehicle. So purchasing a used vehicle is pretty much, doesn't make sense if you get some 2 or 3 years old, because now you only got 2 years to run with it before you have to replace it. So there's a lot of variables that I've come across just from researching that industry, and it's not as, I don't want to say it's not as lucrative. It's definitely lucrative, but it's not as easy as I thought it would be. And you see how long I've been researching this thing. And this is what people need to do before they go start a business. You know what I'm saying? You can't just jump into anything, right? So I'm really trying to decide if it's even worth it at this point, because I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it obviously the first 6 months to a year, because I got to learn the business. But if I remove myself away with what I would have to pay someone to put in those types of hours, plus the costs that are associated with it, is it worth it? Buying a new truck for a starter, you think it's a good idea? I'm thinking to start a business with 30K. If you're talking about a box truck business, you're not going to be able to start the box truck business with a brand new truck for $30,000. I don't even think you can get a cargo van brand new for $30,000 nowadays. How do you get a good local gig with the new MC? Go through my content, get a listing of all the 3PL companies, see which 3PL companies are in your local area and start applying with them for local work, whether it be, furniture and appliance delivery or curbside delivery. Man, just saying loads better in general. I don't know what JS means. Does that mean just saying loads better in general? I'm stuck in Washington. RN means right now, and hotels are killing me. That's just part of the nature of running an OTR in a box truck. This is what is associated with it. You got to understand this. This goes back to what I was just saying as far as understanding what you're investing in before you get into it. Hotels and all the things that come with running OTR. There's a lot of costs associated with that. You have to understand that prior to getting in. If you think transitioning to more local work is going to be more cost effective for you, then yeah, I would say go ahead and do that. I used to use as a mobile detailing van, just sitting down, still in good condition. Is there anything I can do with it? There's things you can do with it. Is just are the powers that be, going to allow something that old onto their platform, whether it be gig apps or 3PLs. 98 is kind of old. You're talking about something that's 26 years old, right? So when you register it with a gig app or a 3PL, they're going to see 98. Are they going to be willing to accept something that old? Is probably going to be your biggest or their biggest concern. There go Costas. Here go the man hours. I was just talking about you, Costas. I want to congratulate you for doing 31,000 in a cargo van. That's exceptional. It's exceptional. It's exceptional. It's exceptional. It's a testament to hard work. You surpassed what an average person in a 26-foot box truck is making. I appreciate you for even taking on that challenge. I think obviously taking on the challenge encouraged you to go out and work a little bit harder. And 31,000 in a cargo van, you don't have a high roof. You have a 1,500. Exceptional, man. Exceptional. So keep up the good work, man. I was literally just talking about you, man. So congratulations, man. You that's exceptional, man. I'm proud of you, man. He says, I want to tell everyone the money isn't moving hands down. Listen, I've been telling everybody that since I came to YouTube. When all the other content creators used to make fun of me and say, hey, nobody want to be carrying nothing up and down no flight of stairs. This is why Mark can sit here in the middle of the day. I can do live streams to the wee hours of the morning. It's because for years, I made a lot of money in moving. Listen, like you can literally do what, and I'm not saying this to brag. I mean, just is what it is. Literally, I've had days where people drive across the country in a box truck to make 4,000 and 5,000. I've had one truck do that in a day, less than 10 miles. There's going to be some labor associated with it, yeah. But at the end of the day, when you billing a person out for $4,800, listen, Listen, listen. I'd rather move a 4-bedroom house with a 7 a.m., 8 a.m. start time and an 8 or 9 p.m. finish time for $4,500, where I'm spending 6 hours at the load and 4.5 hours at the drop, or 6 hours at the load and 6 hours at the drop, or 5 hours at the drop, than to have to drive across the country, sleep in my truck. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's what you got to do, is what you got to do, because some people rather do that and not do the heavy physical lifting. But me personally, if I had to do it all over again, sign me up for the physical heavy lifting. The 30-year-old Mark would do the exact same thing, because I know, over time that money is going to add up a lot quicker and I can get out a lot faster. So money always been in moving. There's no middleman. You straight B2C, business to consumer. You can start out small. You can work your way up, get fully licensed, and really run it up. A lot less competition, right? There's gonna obviously be other moving companies, but there's far less moving companies in every market than there are owner operators. So, me personally, if I get into something, I want to do, so if I get a 26-foot box truck, I want to make the most money from a 26-foot box. Where can I go and make the most money from a 26-foot box truck? It's going to be moving, hands down. So, is it possible to get a used 26-foot box truck for under 30 grand? Absolutely. Penske, I was just on Penske the other day. They had one for 11 grand. I think it was a level 3. They had some for 18 grand, some for 20 grand. Yeah, absolutely. Robert Dale, are there 26-foot non-CDL with sleepers? Yep. Casa said, thank you, did OTR for the first 2 weeks. Did okay. Then did odd moving jobs for the past 2 weeks. Quadruple the money. Hey, man, listen. Been telling people, man, what to do, but, every time somebody slowly transition, let me see what this shit Mark be talking about. They always come back with the info. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you. If all the drivers unite to hold a minimum rate, I think all the drivers will have the power to get more profit. That will never happen. See, and that's what the issue is. Everybody wants this camaraderie, but there's no such thing as camaraderie in independent owner operator. Independent. You'll never get that. You're not going to hold a line. You're not going to get that camaraderie. It's supply and demand. It's every man for themselves. It's free enterprise. It's business. You're not going to get camaraderie. Nobody's going to hold on. You think I'm going to check this out? And you may not like it, but let me kick it to you. And this is not my situation, but I'm going to give you an example. If I got a wife and I got kids, and it's my responsibility to feed them, and because of the economy and supply and demand, things of that nature, is shaking up the market in trucking. And rates have gone down as a result of it. But we want to hold the line, right? So that means I'm sacrificing putting food on my table. I got kids that are looking at me, a wife that's looking at me. This is not my situation, but I'm just putting you in the frame of mind of other individuals that are out there. Am I going to sacrifice putting food on the table to have some type of form of camaraderie. I'm going to take whatever it is I can get that's profitable, even if it's on a minimal, even if it's minimal, profitable. I'm not saying taking things at a loss, because we don't promote that on this channel, but taking something with minimal profit, or just not taking nothing at all because I want to hold a line with the brotherhood. Nah, bro, I got to do what's in the best interest of me and my family. And I think that's where a lot of people get mistaken. This is business. This ain't friends. It's not, you know, a union. There's no union. Jimmy Hoffa is dead. Trucking was deregulated in 1980. That will never happen. And people that keep, well, man, we got to hold the line. That'll never happen. Never. Matter of fact, if you came in late, something just got passed yesterday in the state of Illinois. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You have to do what's in the best interest of you at all times. Listen, if I was out there competing, you would hate me. I wouldn't care. Because I'm going to make sure my business is structured that I can operate if freight is extremely high, like it was during the pandemic, or what would some people would consider extremely low, that to me is normal because I know what normal rates look like. Either way, I'm not going to sit around and wait around to help the next individual out. That's not my problem. The next individual's plight is not my plight. I didn't get in business to be friends and help other people. I got in business to help yourself. Help yourself, help your family, help the people that are around you. It's free enterprise. It's putting yourself first. Got to get out of that mind frame of all the unite. Never will happen. Have you guys looked at the wage to cost of living gap in comparison to what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? Guess what? It's getting wider. So if the cost of living is getting higher and higher, and the wages are going higher, but they're not going at the speed of the cost of living, and that gap is getting wider, what makes people think people are going to sit around and let's hold the line? While you're holding the line, there's somebody else that's doing what's in the best interest of them and their family. And that's all I got to say about that. But I made $4,500 a week. Buy a box truck to my driver, and I'm a dispatcher. Brother, I made $4,500 a week. Buy a box truck to my driver, I'm a dispatcher. Okay. Thank you, but disappointed. If I did move in the entire month, I would have hit that 50K goal. You definitely would have, Costas. But you know now, so you got July, it's July 2nd, you got all July. July is another big month, and you're in Chicago. So listen, you in Chicago when you did it with a cargo van. Imagine, I want you to come take a look at truck one, man. I'm not gonna listen. I was gonna sell truck one, but I decided just to keep both of them. But imagine if you had a 16-footer, Costas. And see, this is what I'm saying, man. Like, people be thinking this shit ain't possible. This man, it did it in a cargo van. Imagine what he can do in Chicago with just a 16-footer. I'm here. I did it for years. $1 million here ain't hard. Not in Chicago in the moving industry. Come on, man, stop playing. Costas. If you transition out of the cargo van, maybe into a 16-foot box truck, you probably can make even more money. But you on the way though. You finally getting it, Costas. You getting it. But don't be disappointed. 31K ain't nothing to be upset about in the cargo van. Locally. And you did it locally. Majority locally, half the month locally. Costas, you didn't lose nothing. You exceeded what people are doing in equipment that's way bigger than yours. But you're learning. So as you learn, you're gonna grow. Nothing to sneeze at. You didn't lose anything. You know why? Because those opportunities exist still. Just when you get a bigger vehicle, you can grasp those opportunities. Beautiful thing about you, Costas, you in Chicago. You in Chicago. Man, I see Pippi done deleted a lot of shit. Oh, Samantha Gardner. Yeah, Uzair. Let's get Uzair out of here. He's one of them foreign dispatchers. Let's get him out of here, man. Just go ahead and just shut him out. Just get rid of him. Snipe him up out of here. Yeah, get rid of him all the way. Pee-wee says, bro, I need help. 2 years in, 3 contracts, and I can't get ahead. You 2 years in, you got 3 contracts. Definitely something you're doing wrong. Probably your operational cost. Lowe's, Home Depot, and Staples. You probably got claims. You doing final mile. Lowe's and Home Depot. You probably got claims, bro. You probably got claims. It's probably a combination of claims and your operational costs. No claims lately, but what were the claims that you had before? Because claims eat into your profits. So you had some claims, probably your operation, probably a combination between claims and operational costs. All right. Well, if your operational cost is high, then yeah, you're not going to profit. You got to keep your operational costs low. You probably have equipment that you're paying an exorbitant amount for. Probably a combination of exorbitant equipment costs and insurance. The thing with final mile is, if you're failing and you're having a hard time and you don't have any claims, you got a lot of equipment costs. You probably got newer trucks that you're paying a high note on. You get high insurance. Did you ever notice that in final mile, whenever you look at the trucks that are doing like final mile big and bulky delivery, they're like older like C7 6500s, older Isuzus, things of that nature. It's a reason why. Like local truck, you don't have to go out and buy a newer truck. You can get an older truck. You can run it, keep your costs low. As a result of that, your insurance is going to be low. Also, if you're local and you're not crossing state lines, and this is how I talked about the other day, like, bro, stop letting these people on the internet fool y'all, bro. Like, listen, if you're local and you're running a local contract, why do y'all have interstate authority? Why y'all have interstate authority? Just get intrastate authority. Cut your insurance costs down, damn near in half. Why y'all running interstate authority and you running local work? You ain't crossed state lines ever. You're in business to make money, not spend it. You want to spend less money and make more. The only new trucks I see are UPS. Right. And those Apt has a fleet. UPS has a fleet. These are big companies, right? As an individual, you can't afford no new truck. You go out and you get an old truck, especially if you're running big and bulky. You go get you an old truck. Old. And you run it. Gross. 50K gross. Claims are claims, damages that are charged back to the owner operator. Pee-wee Patron, how? I started by listening to you and found all these contracts, jumped out the window. I'm seeing money, but not like I thought. Well, you jumped out the window, but what is your operational cost? What's your operation cost? You haven't told me what your cost of operation are. 2, are you on the truck? 3, how fast did you scale? If you listen to me, then you running 3 contracts, so that's 3 trucks. I've only been on YouTube 2 years, and I tell people don't jump out the window. I say start out small, work your way up. So in 2 years, you got 3 contracts, which is 3 trucks. Sounds like operational costs, and you bit off a little bit more than you can chew too soon. I tell people don't bite off more than you can chew too soon. Are you in the trucks? Have you been in any of the trucks? If you're seeing the money, where's the money going? Excuse me, sir, what is your preferred best box truck of 26-foot length for OTR? Moving Freightliner, or it all depends. Like, I really don't have a favorite like that, man. My 26s were GMCs and Chevys. Shit that new people coming in wouldn't even look at. You know, the new generation is caught up on Freightliners and Hinos and internationals and shit like that. So, but if you're coming in, you're looking to do OTR, I would say go with a Freightliner. I'd say go with something American. Whoa, that's a good one. I haven't thought about that. My insurance was 2,000 a week, now it's 3,700. Well, your insurance is going to go up for a multitude of reasons. More trucks, more drivers you add, the motor vehicle reports for the drivers, this and that. But if you're local, I don't know why. If you're not crossing state lines, hear me clear. If you're not crossing state lines, it makes no sense to keep an interstate authority. You know, you're going to have people that are going to tell you this, that, and third, but they probably don't even know that. For my trucking business, I got rid of my interstate authority as soon as my broker told me, why do you still have it when you're not even crossing state lines on the trucking side of your business? You'll save a shit ton of money by just going interstate. And that's what I did. Interstate versus intrastate is more to it than just local, not crossing state lines and crossing state lines. There's a price tag associated with it as well. Why? Because going interstate, crossing state lines to the insurance company is more liability. You're doing longer driving, which means you could fall asleep behind the wheel, you could hit a deer, things that are going to cost the insurance company money. Staying local or staying within the state, it's less liability because you're not driving cross country, which could put you in a situation where you could fall asleep behind the wheel, you could hit a deer, or all the liability that's associated with OTR driving from a commercial standpoint. So switching is going to ultimately save you money, especially if you're not crossing state lines. If you're not crossing state lines, why have it? I'm not going to pay for something that serves a purpose and my business isn't serving that purpose. You gotta get rid of it so you can save money. And by saving money, you make more money. If you're saving, let's say $1,500 a month, right? Guess where that $1,500 goes? Into cash flow, back into your pocket. So I drive one for Home Depot. Okay. Non-installation. Promise to go says very powerful lie. Appreciate that. Yeah, Philly said applies to life in general. Money going to insurance employees and truck rentals. Well, there you have it. Truck rentals. There you got it. Truck rentals. Here's the thing. You got to decrease your operational cost. All right. You scale too fast. You listen to me. I'm telling you how to make money, but you didn't listen to the part where I talked about don't jump out the window scaling too fast. All this, that, and the third. All right. Once you acquired one contract and you was renting a truck, then your sole purpose while you was learning that contract was to get out of that rental truck and replace that rental truck with a truck that you own. Once you replace that rental truck with a truck that you own and you work to recoup the money, right, for the truck that you purchased, once it recoups, now you're working that truck to acquire another truck. I've said this a million times. You saw the contracts and you just looked at it from a perspective, well, if I add this many more trucks, I'm going to make X amount of money because I got trucks out there, but you're doing it from a rental perspective. So you caught one lecture, but you missed the other ones. Me right now, if you're running 3 or 4 trucks that are rentals, I would scale back. I would scale back and try to acquire one truck. Once you go in that truck is going to recoup and it's going to continue to make money so that it can acquire a second truck. And then that second truck is going to recoup and then earn to acquire a third, and so on and so forth. You got to come out, you scaling a business with rental equipment. That's where the money going. There you have it. The first rental truck was fine, but you should have been working towards replacing that rental truck with a truck you own. Bro, do you think truckers should rely only on load boards? Listen, I'm not a middle mile advocate. I understand the lane, I talk about it, but I'm not an advocate for it because I never ran middle mile. I know the lane. I'm well versed in the lane. I can, guide people, but I don't care for middle mile, right? It's just not something that I'm an advocate for. I think, and people are starting to see, and I've been saying it since day one, and I love bringing this up because I have to remind people, when I first came to YouTube, y'all was believing everything, and everything that y'all took y'all to see. Y'all see it, listen, the middle mile is going to be the toughest lane. There's a lot of more competition, a lot of costs associated with it, less work, but that's what captures people, the less work. But to answer your question, no, I don't think people should rely on solely on load boards. I think people should leverage themselves where they are taking themselves out of that cesspool of competition. Listen, if you ain't got it in you to be a dog, like somebody earlier was talking about this camaraderie shit, listen, if you talking like that, then you ain't got the right mind frame to even be in that sector of box trucking to begin with, because you ain't no animal. You worried about kumbaya. Nigga, I ain't trying to kumbaya with you. I don't even know you. I don't even know you. In real life, I don't even know you. So why am I concerned about sticking together with you? I'm trying to destroy you. Like, why don't people understand that in business? Why should I care about somebody I don't even know? And we're in competition with each other. What you think this is? 1977 or some shit like that? Bro, it is 2024. You go to the grocery store and one bag, you spending $30. And you think I'm going to sit here and worry about what the other 10 people that are looking at this same load on the load board is thinking or worried? Man, I'm not going to take it because we got to. Man, listen, if it's a profit, I'm gone. I think people need to focus on themselves and their business, and then they'll be all right. All the complaining and the whining and this, that, and the third, man, come on, man. Employee, driver 200, helper 160. That's good. But you paying you rent a truck, so your operational costs, your daily operational costs are high because you paying that truck rental every week. And guess what? The insurance is gonna also uh 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 be high as well too, because you're renting a newer truck. Me, you running final mile, boy. If I be going looking for me like a '08, a '07, something I can go get for the 15 cash. Now you just eliminated all that. Yeah, you're gonna have maintenance here and there, but you ain't paying no weekly truck rental fee. That what you paying $100 and some a day. Now add that up, 6, 7 days a week, depending on how you run your contract and what you paying a week. If you paying $600 a week plus the miles for the rental, so I say 600 a week, times that times 4 weeks. Now times that times 12 months. And when that number you come up with, imaginarily put that back in your pocket. Imagine you putting that back in your pocket. You running local. Why you should have been bought you a truck. You scaled too quick. You scaled too quick. What is this guy talking about? You Zaire. Yeah, what is Zaire talking? Pippi, please. This dude is trying to promote his foreign dispatch shit. Please, let's get this guy. If this guy says something that is detrimental to, just get rid of him. Fuck it. I don't even want to see this shit no more. I don't even care. No, not Pee Wee. Don't get rid of Pee Wee. What did Pee Wee say? What did he do? Get rid of Zaire. You got rid of the wrong person. You got rid of the wrong person. Get rid of Zaire. Pee Wee's all right. I think I unblocked him. I think you got rid of the wrong person. Yeah, get rid of Zaire. I unblocked Pee Wee. Hey, Pee Wee, type something and see if it comes up. She she tapped on the wrong person by mistake. Yeah, get rid of Uzair. He's still popping up. I unhid Pee Wee. Pee Wee should be back. You did the wrong person by mistake. But I brought him back. It's Uzair, the foreign guy who keep talking about some dumb shit, talking about dispatching and all that goofball shit. Because he trying to get people to sign up with him. Trying to figure out how to navigate the new MC problem. Mr. Get Right, the best you probably gonna be able to do is lease on with someone, all right? Because you're gonna have a hard time, getting brokers to trust you. You're gonna have to go through the same thing a lot of new people go through now. Pandemic kind of messed it up for new owner operators going middle mile. So I think a good way to go around that is just by leasing on to someone who has a strong authority that's been around. Or you're gonna have to get with like TQL or something, make sure your cost is extremely low, because the brokers that will mess with you, hold on, let me make sure. Is renting a box truck ever better? Wouldn't you save money on maintenance? Listen, this maintenance thing. Listen, yes, you can rent a box truck and be successful, but renting a box truck is never for the long term. It's only temporary. Renting a box truck is not a long-term thing. It's temporary. The only way you can build a successful business and rent a box truck, and I wouldn't even say do that, is in moving. If you're paying $700-800 a week in a rental truck for moving, that's literally your first move on Monday, and that's a 3-4 hour move. Everything else you do the rest of the week, you're covering your fuel. But if you're running OTR where you're building up miles and miles and miles, and they're charging you for these miles, how can you sustain a business like that for the long term with renting a box truck? Renting a box truck is a temporary thing. And as far as the maintenance, no, you're not saving on maintenance. You know why? Because you're spending an exorbitant cost to rent the box truck. You think the maintenance of the box truck ain't baked into the rental cost? If you were a box truck rental company, and see, this is what I talk about, understanding what you're investing in. If you open up a box truck rental business, you would already have an estimate. Okay, I'm buying 2023 Hinos or 2023 Freightliners. What's the average? What goes wrong with these things? You're going to research the vehicles. You're going to understand what the yearly maintenance cost is for PMs. Okay, in about 20, 30,000 miles, this particular year truck, it starts having an issue with this. It costs about this much to get fixed. And you're going to have the professional people that are in that department in that particular rental truck business come up with a cost, right? So that it can be passed along to the consumer that's renting the truck to cover the cost of the truck, including the maintenance of the truck over the duration of the life of the truck, right? So if it costs X amount of dollars to maintain a specific truck a year, that's going to be baked into the cost of the rental. The truck is the bit. It doesn't pay. Owning a truck rental business, the truck pays for itself in every facet. How do you make money if the truck rental company was paying the maintenance? How are they making money? You're paying the maintenance. You're paying the maintenance whether you own your own truck. If you rent a truck, you're paying the maintenance on that. It's baked into the cost of the rental. Stop believing this shit that y'all hear on the internet from these fake gurus that tell, oh, you don't pay them maintenance. You absolutely 100% do. If you're running your box truck and you're charging a customer a fee and you're running OTR your cost per mile, you have your maintenance costs baked into your cost per mile, right? So if you're baking the cost of your maintenance into your cost per mile, you don't think the truck rental company bakes the cost in to the yearly maintenance and the cost of the truck rental? This is how they, listen, the truck pays for itself, period. If I got $1 billion and I'm Penske and I can order X amount of trucks and charge $700 a week for the rental and 20 cents a mile, and you keep the truck a year and you do the math on that, and you end up spending, let's say, $40,000, $50,000 for the truck. First of all, I'm ordering a fleet of trucks, so I'm getting them at a wholesale cost. I'm not getting them at the cost that you would get in. The truck pays for itself in a year. You absolutely 100% pay the cost of the rental. I mean, of the maintenance. %100%. You 100% pay the maintenance on a rental truck. It's baked into the cost of the rental. Secondly, who cares about maintenance? Why are y'all so scared of maintenance cost? If you scared of getting your truck repaired, don't start a business. It's a part of the business, getting your truck repaired. I'm scared. Listen. Listen, maintenance is a part of the business. You're going to pay for it whether you rent a truck. You're going to pay for it whether you own a truck. Either way, you're going to pay for it. But guess what? You're going to save more money owning a truck than you ever would renting a truck for the long term. Renting a truck is a temporary thing, not a long-term thing. Only one Najee said, hey, bro, you still ain't gave me the money I let you borrow, but you online. Go get my money, man. I don't even know you, bro. I don't even know you. Promise to go, you're doing a good job, my brother. Appreciate it. You play brass instrument. All right, Pippi, so these foreigners are starting to come in. Let's start getting them out of it. Anybody that say anything that ain't got shit to do with box trucking, all these foreign people, let's start blocking them. So promise to go, not promise to go, but Cliff has to go. Whoever this guy talking about money, he got to go. Cliff got to go. Who else? Did you start off by renting a truck from Penske? Started off with my pickup truck, then started renting a truck. But the truck I was renting was a Penske truck. First truck was Penske. I think people are scared of buying unreliable trucks that constantly break down. Doesn't necessarily mean truck is going to constantly break down. All right? Trucks aren't necessarily unreliable. I think when you go to purchase a truck, you should take someone certified to inspect the truck, or you should send someone certified to inspect the truck. The thing is trucks are going to break down. It's just a part of business. If you run a brick and mortar, guess what? You might have to get a new toilet. You might have a flood. Your roof might collapse. Things are going to happen. You're going to have to, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Shit happens in business, you know. If you're running a trucking company, there's no way you're going to be able to run a trucking company if you want to be around for a very long time, building a company with rental trucks. I I don't see it, bro. Like I don't understand it. You know, I don't know, bro. Like I know where y'all get this from. I know there's one guy that promotes it, but it's check it out. The margins are low. Wouldn't it be in the best interest of you to do everything in your power to increase your margin? Renting a truck is ultimately going to lower your profit margin. Let's get rid of Natalie. Can you talk about how you break down your pay per mile? Like how much do you charge for maintenance fuel? I guess I'm asking what your bottom line. Your maintenance is your maintenance. It all depends on what you spend for maintenance. When you did for your cost per mile, those are your numbers. I did a video on cost per mile. You should go look at it. There's no, it's the numbers are based on your real numbers. Some people put money aside for maintenance. If you're just good with keeping your costs low and not robbing from sustainability, like I never had a maintenance pot. Whenever a truck needed to be maintained, just sent it to the truck repair place. The money was there. If you have a hard time with managing your books to the point where you gotta have a whole separate account just for maintenance, then okay, so be it. Whenever a truck broke down and needed to go get fixed, just send it to the shop and gave my credit card number over the phone and sent a check when it was time to go pick it up. Right? Operational cost and robbing from sustainability, I've never had issues with that because I understand that things happen and you have to have money. You know, so it's business, you know. Metro said I heard the Midwest is a gold mine. What's known don't need to be explained. When it comes to the Midwest, um, how can I land a Home Depot or Menards contract? Menards, I don't think so. Home Depot, you have to find the 3PL in your market that houses that contract. So it would be AIG for the most part. T4 has lost it in a lot of markets. Uh, Chris, what's going on? 14, you said they on here talking crazy. You know, anytime I do one of these vertical live streams in the earlier part of the day, you get all type of weird people. They be mostly foreigners and trolls. Now that the school is out for the summertime, you get kids coming in. You got kids coming in here, and all they do is just keep flipping the channels until they come across the channel, and then they go in and they troll until you block them, and then they go to the next person. That's all it is. 14 easy. You just gotta have a good moderation team and just keep blocking them. Uh, Doug says, do you have a commercial driver's line? Absolutely not. Uh, yep. Nope. 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 Doug Brown said he's been an OTR driver for 34 years and just now considering getting into owning a smaller truck. Reckless Cam says he's in Chicago. Okay, so you should. There's a lot of opportunities in Chicago. Um, mm, who has IKEA in Ohio? Probably NAL, Maximize Trucking. All right. All right, so I knocked out my live stream for today. Is the Southeast good or bad to do cargo van runs as a beginner in the field? Southeast, so you talking about like South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, stuff like that. I think maybe on a local level, I don't know about OTR. Maybe on a local level, depending on what market you're in. Is IKEA something a female can do solo? No, you can't do IKEA solo at all. Well, you have a lot of information. I think you meant, well, you have a lot of valuable information. So if you could just figure out a way to charge $1 to everyone who wants to watch you, it will probably keep out a lot of the trolls and kids. It'd be worth it. So the trucking space, especially box trucking, is not a sector on YouTube that the creators make money from, right? So uh, it's just not one of those sectors, right, where people, super chat and things of that nature. So uh, one is because a lot of the people that consume this content are struggling. It's just the fact of the matter. So they really don't have the money to contribute. I was actually talking to a creator the other day that was frustrated. I'm not going to say who, but just kind of frustrated because, they put a lot of time into content creation and they all ultimately want to be compensated for it full time. And that, I'm like, you're in this sector, it's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to happen. So if you're going to continue to make content in this sector, you have to do it because you really want to help people. Um, if you're doing it for compensation, then you might want to look into maybe entertainment, talking about current events and shit like that. Um, it's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So the sector ain't that type of sector. Uh, so me personally, I just do it to help people. Uh, it's a way of giving back, um, and that's it. I do have a members only, but that's more for financial things that I'm into, as far as investments and things of that nature. But shout out to you, Costas. I've been looking at my business plan and running numbers. Would love to know OTR, what an average mileage is per week and a good estimate for gross income per week. The average gross income for a person that's running hard nowadays is about 5K, but a lot of people aren't hitting that 5K. Honestly, the average most people are hitting is about 3,500. Um, running about 600 miles a day on average. Well, that's a shame because I like what you said. You have a lot of good, valuable information. You should be compensated for that. Yeah. If I was talking about maybe like the debate last week, or like that viral video this weekend. Maybe if I were to review that viral video this weekend where the father and the stepson was arguing in a barber shop and this, that, and the third, that type of content, when you react to that type of stuff, it makes a lot of money, right? Educational content, especially in a small niche like this, doesn't do it. So that's why you saw a lot of people, well, you probably didn't see it, that's why you saw a lot of people come in during the pandemic when it was popular, when people were getting money and they were getting into the space, and then they kind of died away. They failed. And the ones that didn't fail, that are still in the business, that were creating content on the new, they don't create as much as they created then, because it's not financially beneficial um, to them any longer. But that's just that's just what it is. This sector doesn't pay. So I think my reward for the information that I put out comes in other forms. I wish that there was an individual like me back in 2010 when I got started that I could have came and consumed information from, but it wasn't. Luckily for me, I started off small and I worked my way up. I think that was my saving grace. Um, um, Now you have people that are telling people to come in, um, and they're not giving them the correct information because they don't have the correct information or the correct guidance to give these people. They're just selling them a lifestyle so that they can enrich themselves. And we see people, falling by the wayside as a result of that. Uh, just is what it is. My duty on here is just to continue to help people pro bono. Um, People who are willing to listen, they come back and they express their gratitude. The people who ultimately think this is a hustle or a game or a joke, or it's easy and it's not hard, and they hoping and praying and we can just stick together and the rates are going to go up, and they fail to listen to what 14 years of experience is telling them, they're going to continue to struggle. And that's just what it is. How can your box truck be the brokers? That all depends. The brokers ain't just one thing. You gotta understand. If you in 3PL, it could be the 3PLs. Shit, in some states you can't even run certain trucks a certain year. So sounds like an opportunity to create a trucking space. The trucking space is already created. It's just not, as far as content, It's just not profitable. And then you have a lot of you know, when I first came into this space 2 years ago, it looks totally different than it looks now. Um, there was a lot of misinformation, a lot of competition, a lot of hatred, a lot of jealousy, a lot of this, a lot of that. A lot of that has gone away, but um, as well as the following. There's not a lot of people interested in the space anymore. A lot of people have fell by the wayside, but um, I think the space exists. It's just not as big as other spaces are. Box trucking space ain't gonna never be as big as the semi trucking space. The semi trucking space is big because you got people that are over the road that are sitting in their semi trucks, that are sitting at truck stops, listening to semi truck content creators, sharing information, things like that. It's just a bigger community because of that. I have semi truck people that watch my channel, believe it or not, because of the information that I provide, and it can be entertaining. At times, this live stream may not be as entertaining as some of the live streams when I'm sitting in the studio, but uh, uh, I got semi guys that watch me. Why? Because they're over the road, they're in the truck stop, and they found the channel educational and entertaining. Space exists. It's just not You ain't gonna see a trucking content creator walk around like you see some of these entertainment creators, the type of money that they get paid from Google to create their content versus this content over here. It's just not gonna happen. Like you look at guys like the lead attorney, he makes $100,000 a month on YouTube. A lot of that comes from his super chats. You know, when you look at guys like Anton Daniels, the lead attorney, Angry Man, um, those types of guys, they do six-figure months, but they're all speak on like current events, Young Thug trial, the debate, the stepfather and the father in the barbershop, things like that. Things that ain't gonna make nobody no money. Things that aren't in the best interest of the individual. That's what people like to consume, and they'll give a person $100 super chat for making fun of a guy or two guys in a barbershop arguing over a kid's haircut. Should the stepdaddy be getting a haircut? Should the father? And you see $100 super chats come through, you know what I'm saying? So those guys make a lot of money over there. This space ain't gonna make that type of money. Trucking ain't gonna make that type of, your biggest trucking content creators don't make that type of money. I watch TB. TB won't even do a live stream into the second hour if you don't send him $200. I don't ask people for nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because I understand that there's a lot of misinformation in the space, and I didn't do it for money in the first place. So that's why I'm still here. So shout out to you, Maximize Trucking. Appreciate that. Aaliyah says she got a drug problem. Well, Aaliyah, I hate to be the bearer of more bad news. I'm not a counselor, so I can't help you with your drug problem. The only thing I can tell you is say no to drugs. All right? Remember Nancy Reagan? Are you old enough to remember Nancy Reagan? She had a campaign back in the 80s that was saying, say no to drugs. And I think you should listen to Nancy Reagan. What's a way to contact you, Mark, offline? Email me, mark@thementormark.com. Yep, every truck that I've ever operated, Doug Brown, was under 26,000 pounds. Mr. Robinson says it's hard as hell to stay local in a box truck. That's absolutely false information. It all depends on your market. I'm in Chicago. There's plenty of opportunities here locally. I can make more money in a 16-foot box truck here locally than you probably could running a 26-foot box truck over the road. I could make more money here locally in a cargo van than you probably could running a 26-foot box truck over the road. And if you don't believe me, there's a guy in here that's in my market listening to me that made $31,000 last month in a 1,500 cargo van. All depends on market, all depends on experience. Depends on leverage, who you know, how you move and shake, how hard you willing to work. So that's absolutely false information. You may be in the middle of America in a market where there's no opportunity. I'm in Chicago. Ain't nothing but opportunity. I walk outside my door, it's opportunity. So that all depends. It all depends. All depends on all those variables and more that I just said. I can go hop in one of my trucks and make more money locally than anybody you put in front of me in a 26-foot box truck that's running over the road. So that's not true. I've already proved it. It's cutthroat out here. When I started driving, everybody was a brother that's gonna be by the wayside. Listen, It's cutthroat. Business is cutthroat. It's just the way it is. Facts, I drive A2 Woods and love watching. Very influential. Appreciate you, Chris. There's a lot of semi-drivers in here now. See what I'm saying? So when people say things like, oh, it's hard doing this and hard doing that, no, it's not. Because I did it for many years. This is why I can sit here in the middle of the day and come back later on live and be retired at 44. I've been retired since 42. This is how I can do members only live streams and tell people how I invest money. I've showed my portfolios before. I've had other content creators that have come to Chicago and said, you know what? Yeah, Mark the real deal. If y'all think he cap, I've been there. I've taken other content creators on nights on the town. I'm just not one of the content creators that's gonna, show you everything personally about me, because it ain't nobody's business. You've seen some of my vehicles. You've seen my pickup truck. You've seen my Tesla. Those ain't the only 2 vehicles I got. Y'all see I still own 2 trucks out of my fleet that just sit. That I haven't sold. Trust me, if Bart was hard up, I would have been sold the trucks. They just sitting. But this all comes as a result of working for many, many years, doing moves, right? Having a moving company, having a successful final mile trucking company, delaying my gratification, working extremely hard, and making the right business moves at the right time. Even ultimately down to me exiting in 2022. I remember when I first started YouTube and I was talking about exiting, right? Because I was exiting right when I was starting my channel. And I got flack for that. And now, man, that was a great decision, right? Because if I would have held on, I would be fucked. I would still have all those trucks and wouldn't have been able to sell them, right? I was able to sell trucks for more money than I purchased them for 10 plus years prior. That'll never happen again. You know what we call that? The top of the market. That's just like selling a stock that you bought. That's just like buying NVIDIA back in 2000 and selling it a few weeks ago when it was $1,000 a share. Buying something for $2 or $3, Netflix, and 10 years ago, a share, and selling it now for, what is it, $600 a share. That'll never happen again. I'll never be able to buy a vehicle, put hundreds of thousands of miles on it, and sell it after beating it to shit for 3 times the amount, 2 to 3 times the amount of what it was purchased for over a decade ago. When will that ever happen again? Probably never. So even the exit, I timed it right. It's business. Was it hard? Of course. But I didn't see things getting any better. I knew I was going to continue to struggle with finding people to work. So instead of my 2025 exit that I originally had planned, I moved it up 3 years. And now 2 years later, it was the best decision that I could have ever made. And I was ultimately prepared for it. So business is about choices and decisions, just like life is about choices and decisions. You have to make the best choices and decisions for you and your business. And you always have to be prepared for the unexpected. I never would have expected a pandemic. I've never lived through a pandemic. But in 2020, we got hit with a pandemic. So I had to change my whole strategy around. And for 3 years, I had to do something I hadn't did in 7 years. I had to get my ass back on one of them trucks. I hadn't been on a truck in 7 years. In 2020, because of a pandemic and all the free money, I had to get back out in the field. Why? Because nobody wanted to come to work no more. So, business is choices and decisions and hard work and sacrifice and delaying gratification and transitioning. That was a huge transition at that time. I've talked to guys on the call-in show that are 15 years younger than me now, and they don't want to get on a truck. Oh man, I'm a business owner. Okay, well, if you're a business owner, you have to meet the demands of the business. If the business requires you to get on a truck to ultimately save your business, why wouldn't you want to get on a truck? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You ain't did shit. You got 3, 4, and I'm not talking to the person in here. This individual that was on this call show about 10 episodes ago was in 4 or 5 rental trucks. Talking about, oh, you don't want to get on the truck, but you having a hard time finding workers. You're going to have a hard time finding workers. So if you don't want to get on your truck because people not showing up and you don't want to go save at least one of your routes today, then you're going to continue to have the issues that you having. Why you got 5 rental trucks anyway? Shit don't even make sense. You scaling a business with rental trucks. In an economy where the harder to work, the harder it is to find people. And you don't want to get on a truck yourself. And you're 30 years old. You got a long way to go, young man. This is the society we living in, man. The difference between you and Big Vic and the box truck couple is that they show you how to do the work. You show us how to run the business. And here's the thing. I already did the work. I've unfortunately, like I said all the time, YouTube wasn't a thing when I was starting and, even during the peak of my tenure, right? But here's the thing. Let's say if YouTube would have existed 10 years ago, right? Where it is today, right? With the live technology and streaming and shit like that, I still wouldn't have did it. You know why? I wouldn't have had time to do it because at that point, I was entrenched in the day-to-day of the business. It wouldn't have been no time to do this. It wouldn't have been. My days were consumed from the wee hours of the morning to damn near sometimes the wee hours of the next morning. You talking about guys walking around with 2, 3 cell phones. I've showed you. If you are new to the channel, I did a live stream about a month or 2 ago called The Montage, My Journey, right? And this is something that I never did. I never showed my trucks. I never showed my office. I used to get a lot of flack for that because I never showed receipts. So I did one live stream where I showed all the receipts. I showed you my warehouse. I showed you my fleet of trucks. I've showed you everything. I showed you my journey from the avalanche all the way up to my office, everything. I wouldn't have had time to shoot content. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they do show the journey and I show how to run a business. Ultimately, running a business to a person who is new is more important than a person's journey. A person's journey is their person's journey. And not to take credit away from anyone that shows their journey, but their journey is not going to be your journey. Right? But business is business. Understanding your cost is universal. My journey is not going to be your journey. So me showing you my journey is not going to be the same thing for you. You know why? You may live in Iowa. So I may be showing you 15 trucks, which I did, but you may not be able to scale to that point because your market won't allow it. But me telling you and helping you understand the business of it, that's universal. If you understand business, you can pretty much succeed in any business. And that's across the board. I don't care if you start a restaurant, you start a box truck business, you start a catering service, understanding the business, doing what you're supposed to do prior to the inception of your business understanding what you're investing in, doing deep dive analysis, really digging into the business. It's just like 5-Star asked me earlier about the car service business. And I talked about a lot of the things that I've been researching. I've been researching this for a long time. It's not something I researched for a few weeks or a month to determine if I want to go out and spend $100,000 on an SUV. To only get in and realize that I didn't do enough research and it ain't what I thought it would be. But now I'm stuck with a $1,400 a month note or $1,500 a month note. A lot of people don't understand what they're investing in, and then they get into it and find out something totally different. So, yeah, I think, and when I used to get this a lot too, when I first started, because I got content when, I started YouTube middle of 2022, and I didn't retire until the end of 2022. So I have content where you see me on the truck working. It's just people don't go look for it. But I remember I used to get a lot of flack for that. Oh man, you ain't out here. I have more success stories on my channel from just sitting in my studio than I think a lot of people have from just showing their journey, because each independent person's journey, like those two people, you got one, that couple is in Georgia and they're a little bit older. So here's the thing. Their journey ain't gonna be like the next person's journey, because it's certain things that they are not willing to do or can't do because their age restricts them. Right? So a person who's 30 years old, they can look at that journey and get inspiration from it and learn some shit, right? Which is cool. But a 30-year-old may be able to go a little bit harder. They have less, they may live at the crib. They got their youth, they got their legs under them. So everybody's journey ain't gonna be the same. But the business is universal. The formula for cost per mile is the formula for cost per mile. If you live in North Carolina, if you live in Chicago, if you live in Florida, if you live in LA, the formula for cost per mile is the formula for cost per mile. Now, your cost per mile and this person's cost per mile are going to be different because your journeys are different. The formula is the same, and the formula is the business, not the journey. So, Metro, you're absolutely right. Is it smart to scale with rentals to lock down the contract and then lease to try to purchase truck to lower cost? Because leasing is cheaper than renting, right? I think the ultimate goal should always be to own your truck. Leasing is cheaper than renting, but leasing locks you into something long term. Think about all those people that came into 2021 and 2022 if they were to lease. They would have been locked into a 2 or 3 year leasing agreement, and majority of them people didn't even last a year and a half. Right? You don't see independent owner operators for the most part in a box truck leasing, right? Renting is something that's short term. It should be short term. If you come into business renting, no matter what lane you come in, it should be short term. Understanding that, this is short term. I'm coming in short term to ultimately buy a truck, right? So that means you're delaying your gratification. You're putting money to the side. You're trying to keep your costs down because you're putting money to the side ultimately to transition out of that rental truck to purchase you a truck, because you understand that owning your own truck is going to lower your operational cost. The goal is to make more money. And one of the things to make more money is lowering your operational costs. Renting a truck is always going to keep your operational costs higher than it would be to own. Because guess what? If you buy the truck cash or if you finance the truck over a period of years and you last in the business, eventually you're going to do what? You're going to pay the truck off, right? And then once you pay the truck off, that's one less operational expense that you have to factor into your cost per mile. You don't have a note no more. But guess what? If you run a business over the life of the business, renting, you're gonna always have that cost. You buy a house, take out a 15-year or 30-year mortgage, you live long enough to pay off the house, guess what? Your operational cost of owning your bills go down, right? Because you ain't got that $2,500 mortgage anymore. That's $2,500 that you could save now because you paid your mortgage off. Same thing with a box truck. You rent, you're going to always have that cost. Nick Gers, I seen your video about the U-Haul trailer. Do you think people will look at you as unprofessional if you show up in a U-Haul? No, because that U-Haul is not for licensed people. I did that video to show people how to get in from humble beginnings. There's a lot of people that watch the channel that don't have money. We've seen people on this channel say, "Oh man, I'm waiting to get in. I'm waiting to save up my money. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing logistics in my car." You got an SUV or a pickup truck. Here's a way where you can make money. Starting off of Craigslist and off of Thumbtack. I see people all the time here in Chicago moving people in U-Haul trucks. You got people that post on Thumbtack and Craigslist that show up with a U-Haul truck. I see people moving people with a trailer. There's a demographic of consumer that is looking for an economical move, and they understand that with the price that they're looking to spend on the move, you get what you pay for. I showed up in 2010 through 2011 in an avalanche and moved people, and I put it in my Craigslist ad. Guy with a pickup truck looking to do small moves and deliveries. So the consumer already knew that they were clicking on an ad with a person with a pickup truck, and they called me. If I didn't receive the amount of calls that I received, I would have never scaled to the Penske truck. I would have never scaled to a second Penske truck. I would have never scaled to a third Penske truck. I would have never scaled to purchasing trucks. I would have never scaled to an office. I would have never scaled to all my trucks and a warehouse, right? So there is a consumer base that's willing to hire a person in a pickup truck. There's a consumer base that's willing to go on and hire movers. And if you show up in a U-Haul truck, guess what? It's moving day. You got to move. The truck is there. The equipment is there. They're going to move. So no, it's not deemed unprofessional. If they're going on Craigslist, you know what you're expecting. You expecting some guys that are not licensed, that are hustling for the most part. If you go on Thumbtack, if you look at their Thumbtack profile, it's going to say background check. It's going to say license. If it doesn't have a license badge, then you know that this individual is unlicensed. So no. You have a consumer for every aspect. If you live in a 4-bedroom, $750,000 house, chances are you're not going on Craigslist looking for a mover. Me personally, I'm not going on Craigslist looking for a mover. I'm going to go hire a licensed professional company because I have nice shit. I got a big ass huge tank that needs to get moved. That's very fragile. I got leather furniture that I need wrapped. I got screens mounted. I got artwork that needs to be professionally wrapped and taken care of. So I'm not going to hire a guy off of Craigslist, not because I understand the business, but because I know what I'm getting off of Craigslist. Now, if I was a young urban professional, a yuppie who just graduated college, and I have a bunch of hand-me-down furniture from my mom's basement that has nicks and dings and scratches, and I'm I don't have the money to pay a professional licensed mover, nor do I have the furnishings that, you know, I need to even spend that type of money on. I don't care if it gets dinged or bumped. This shit is already scratched up, right? And I don't have the capital to 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 warrant me hiring those people anyway. So I'm gonna go hire a guy off Craigslist that's $50 an hour. It's gonna be me going them. It's gonna be me going them because that's all a person of that person in his life or that individual at that stage in their life can afford. So no, I think it's a demographic for the hustler, and a demographic for the licensed individuals. Trey said he started his moving company and you all haven't had any problems. No problems. Ed says Trump in 2024 will bring money. That all depends. That all depends on the individual. Jaggy says insurance is what kills most. Not necessarily, Jaggy. Insurance kills people who aren't educated on how to get insurance. Jaggy, once again, insurance hurts people who don't know how to purchase commercial insurance. I've done plenty of live streams on how to go about getting commercial insurance that have saved people a shit ton of money. Most individuals that come into the space, they go to their computer, they sit down. The first thing they see pop up is Progressive or Byberg. They sit down, they structure their own insurance policy, and then they end up paying an exorbitant amount because they got a bunch of shit that they don't even need. Instead of going to a broker, finding a broker that's working in their best interest, that has relationships, that knows all these, you know, insurance companies that you probably never heard of, that builds you a policy that's affordable. So no, everybody that listen, I did a case study on here a few months ago. It was a guy in a cargo van and came to the channel, started watching the channel. This is back when I was doing coaching. He booked a block of coaching. He had already got his insurance. He was paying $1,800 a month for a cargo van. Because he booked a coaching session, he booked a block, he booked 4 sessions with me, and we were going through the first session, and I was looking at his cargo van insurance at $1,800. I said, let me see what my broker can do. This ain't right. I know my broker can save you money. Now, this is something I don't do. It's people that reach out to me all the time. Mark, I heard your guy, because the guy came back, he talked about, man, can I get your broker? No. I'm not going to bombard my broker with a bunch of people who, you know, ain't got their shit together. But anyway, I contacted my broker, and I talked to my broker, and I connected the two. All right. He went from paying $1,800 a month in his cargo van to $898 a month. Guess what? The broker just went, looked at what he was paying, did what he needed to do. He didn't get a different company. The guy was with Progressive already. The broker he had went through in Michigan got him a policy, the same, the general liability, the commercial auto, commercial cargo, $1,890 a month. My broker, $898, still with Progressive. Well, Mark, how is that possible? Simple. It's business. Broker gets paid a residual how much your bill costs. If they're getting 3% residual on $1,900 a month, 3% on $1,900 a month is a lot more than 3% on $898 a month. So you have brokers out there that'll sell you shit that you don't even need. See, you didn't know that. your favorite content creator and present it to you like that. You would have never thought that. You would have just thought, well, if this guy gives me a rated progressive, what can the next broker do? Say you $1,000 with the same insurance company. Because that broker, when you look at your declaration, he sends your package over, you don't understand all that shit. You just get a package. You don't understand all this shit that you got. Half of that shit that's on there you don't even need. What the hell you need towing reimbursement for? Man, I'll worry about that when I get to it. You know why? Because your truck might not even break down the whole year. But you paying an extra $120 a month for towing reimbursement. Truck may not even break down. Or it may have an issue that, you can catch and you just drive it straight in. The point is, there's a bunch of things that they add to the policy to bring up the rate so that ultimately they can get paid more off you paying your bill. The broker gets paid off you paying your bill. That's a kickback from the insurance company. The higher your bill is, the higher the kickback. Don't go with a broker who's young and just getting started in their insurance career. Why? Because they ain't got shit. They ain't got no clientele. My broker been in insurance for over 30 years. You know how many clients he got that he getting residuals every month off? He ain't trying to hurt nobody. He already made in the shade. I would never go get a young broker. See, you don't get this type of experience. You don't get this type of information, these type of gems they talk about with some of your favorite content creators. You get this from a person who's been in this industry for 14 years. I would never go get some 30-year-old insurance broker. Man, he's trying to build up his clientele. So he gonna sell you a bunch of shit so he can make more money from you so he can pay his rent, pay his car note. That broker that's been in business 30 years probably got 2,000-3,000 clients. And every month when each one of them pay their bills, that's whatever the percentage is that he getting his kickback. Got his own practice and everything. This person working under somebody else. So they getting a percentage of the kickback that he sold you. Because he working in somebody else's practice. So if he getting a 4% kickback, the person he working under that got his own practice probably taking 2% of that. His name ain't on the front. Man Insurance. When you go to Grange and you can't get Grange on your own, and you go to the page where it lists all the agents. If you want Grange Insurance and you type in your zip code and they show all the agents in your area that can write policy for Grange. If his name ain't Man and them Insurance, he's working under Man, then Man gonna take a percentage off what he sold you. Because Man got to pay the office lights, got to pay the rent for the office, the insurance for the practice. Man, Mark, how was he able to do it? I just told you. When that dude said that shit, man, my emails was flooded. Man, Mark, put me into with your broker. Absolutely not. Man, Mark, you bogus. Hey, listen, my broker already said, Mark, don't send me nobody that ain't serious. Vet them out well. So insurance ain't the main killer. Insurance kills people who don't know how to shop for insurance. It's like I was talking about earlier. Why, if you're running local, why do you have an interstate authority? Drop your authority to intrastate so you can cut your insurance costs damn near in half. You running local final mile and you got an interstate MC. What for? Why are you paying an exorbitant amount of insurance and you're not running a interstate liability driven box truck business? Makes no sense. What happened to that guy that said he was supposed to call in? He was a while back saying he wanted to run 2 trucks and make money, but don't want to drive. I don't remember who that is. I seen a new content creator saying he 2 years in, so he knows more than enough, and now considers himself a mentor box truck. You know, hey, the community will let him know. The community will let him know. Shout out to the 499, the Last Conversation podcast. Appreciate that. So things like that, the community will let them know, right? You know, eventually what we've seen happen over the past few years is you had a lot of people come in, they start to sell things, and because their lack of information, lack of experience, people have bought these things, these products, these courses and shit like that, and have come to, back to the internet to express their grievances. You can't learn this industry in 2 years. There's only 2 people that I've seen across all spaces that have over 10 years of experience. And that's me and Kirk. And me and Kirk don't even get along. But I'm never gonna, take away from, his tenure in the space. Your experience is going to tell the tale. Listen, until I did that montage live stream, I had never showed receipts, right? Eventually, the information that I was given is what eventually won people over, right? Because in order for me to give this vast amount of information, I have had to been in this business, right? Right? Or I had to be one hell of a fly on the wall. I had to literally be a fly on the wall to know all the information I know and to live stream and answer questions about this industry on the fly, right? Uh, um, the information that I give, right? I wouldn't have been able to give this information even 10 years ago, with being in the industry 4 years. So I was learning a lot. I don't consider myself, I don't think I really would have deemed myself a qualified person to give commentary or coaching on this industry. It's about maybe when I was about 8 years in, right? Because at that point I had done everything all the way up to warehousing, right? So I think my portfolio of things that I've done in the industry would have warranted me at that point to, you know, do what I'm doing now, right? And then you could tell the difference in people who in this space that know what they talking about versus don't. Because a lot of people that don't know what the hell they talking about, they get challenged on it and they get upset. But the community will probably tell that person, you know. Funny how people make money talking about limited. There's a lot of people that made a lot of money with Googleable information from 2020 to 2020, into 2022, beginning of 2023. You selling your shipping container business at 300K? Okay, congratulations. Nick Gurr said, when were you on the truck? Well, from 2010 to 2013, and from 2020 to 2022. From 2013 to 2020, I was in the office. I didn't start the business in the house. I started the business from being on the truck for 3 years, then came off the truck, then got back on the truck in 2020 during the pandemic because I was forced to. I'm always in the house now. I'm looking for insurance for my non-CDL Penske rental truck, and they're giving me a quote $35,000 down payment. Is that 35,000 or 3,500? You put 35,000. Would I consider hiring an immigrant worker? Absolutely. If they had a work permit. If they don't have a work permit, then no. Here's the thing. Morally, I'm against it, right? All right, but I understand that in this industry, this sector of blue collar work, an American person ain't really looking to do it, especially in my with my background with moving and final mile. The more labor intensive, the less likely it is going to be to find anybody or find someone that's qualified that's going to be dedicated to do it day in and day out. Right, a person who has nothing, that's looking to gain everything, is more likely to do this labor intensive work, right? Morally, I'm against it, right? Because ultimately I know what it's going to do to Americans over a period of time. But in business, I would have to set that aside and do what's in the best interest of the business at that time. Last conversation is something you're doing wrong. I would say next call and show call in. We would have to look, you would have to share all the information. I would pull it up on screen and I would dissect it. 35,000 is very exorbitant. It almost sounds like I've never heard nothing like that. So I would have to see what you're telling them, what's going on. Something ain't right. Something you doing wrong. $35,000, that's a big down payment. I'm a disabled veteran working for one Boston company. How can my boss get access to government contracts? Is he a minority? If he's a minority, he's just able to get a minority business enterprise. You get an insurance broker by vetting out an insurance broker in your market. Go to a website, a commercial insurance website that you can't deal with them directly, that they only deal with brokers. Go to the contact page where they list brokers in the area. You'll probably have to put your zip code in. Start looking at those brokers. Start vetting them out. Just don't go down the list and hire somebody. Go to Google, type them in, look at their reviews. You know what I'm saying? Start talking to them, interviewing them, things of that nature. That's the easy way to get brokers, unless you have someone that can refer you one in your market. So D. Jenkins said he had an insurance broker that told me he was going to take me off the list of cold call because I want to live. That goes back to what I was saying too. I don't just tell you to get a broker. I also tell you that just because you get a broker don't mean that broker going to be in the best interest for you. So I ain't gave you the lick on the brokers. I ain't gave you a lick on how to vet out the broker. Listen, all this information I give people has come from years of experience. So, if you getting taken advantage of, For insurance, that's a fault due to nobody but yourself, and that's a testament to everything I say. When you start a business, everything you can't accept the wins of the business if you're not willing to accept the losses. If you're paying exorbitant insurance rates, it's because of you, some way, shape, form, or fashion. Whether it's you got points on your MVR, whether it's because you just sat your butt down and Google commercial insurance because your favorite content creator told you needed commercial insurance, and you didn't understand that commercial insurance within itself is competitive. You didn't understand that even the brokerage of commercial insurance within itself is competitive. You didn't understand that it's in your best interest to save as much money as possible. There you have it. So. Uh, Mark, how do we? You got to call in on the call-in show. I don't do coaching no more. Personal coaching. I don't do it no more. It was a waste of my time, and I don't like my time wasted. Now, I'm not saying you was wasted, but majority of people, and some people may take offense to this that may still watch, but a lot of the people, like when y'all watch some call-in shows, imagine doing a call-in show that's not a call-in show, that's a coaching session. Imagine sitting in a coaching session dealing with that same type of shit. Like, it used to drive me crazy. So me, I just, I hated people booking coaching sessions that wanted Googleable information, for one, and two, just didn't have the basic business acumen I felt like at that time to even warrant them booking a session. So it just didn't make sense. And y'all know that shit drives me crazy because it drives me crazy on the call-in show. But I'd much rather do it on the call-in show than a private session, because one, it wastes my time, and two, if I'm gonna do this shit privately, I'd rather do it on a public platform, because there's someone else out there that may need to receive some of the same information. So that way, I'm putting it public. Everybody can see it, and hopefully, I don't have to come across some of those same questions again in a private setting. It's just better for me to just do it publicly. Now, with those call-in shows, what come along with that. So, it's a show, so it has to be a little entertaining aspect to it as well. But if you're willing to, uh, go through that, it's fine. What I don't understand is, the basic stuff, why people don't understand the basic stuff. I think the basic stuff is Googleable. When I see people come up and they don't know the basic stuff, that just lets me know that they didn't do everything in their best interest prior to entering into this business. They did the very minimal. They didn't do extensive research, and that's alarming, and it's very upsetting to me. Um, Jordan says the boxing content creator space is definitely doing it down, which is a good thing. I think it's a good thing, yes, primarily because that's less misinformation that's being spread. The last conversation, if they charging you $35,000 for a down payment for insurance, then yeah, you definitely need to call in on the next call-in show. I'm not doing one this week. I'm going to every other week, because like literally I be having headaches, and I don't want a headache going into the 4th of July. If I was going to do it, I would have did it yesterday or today. I'm not doing it. I don't want a headache this week. I'll probably do a next call-in show next week. How would I go about importing an immigrant from another state, California? Let's get rid of Fiji. Somebody, please. How did y'all miss that one? What is the capital number you should say in today's market is good enough to? Hold on, let me get rid of this Fiji guy. What is the capital number you say in today's market good enough to get into the box truck business? Man, 26 footer, 20 to 30, all depending on the individual. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the latter would probably be more beneficial for you depending on your skill set, and if you have someone that's close to you that's been in the business that can kind of walk you through things. If not, on the 30,000 is probably the minimum you would want to get into. About half of that, or a little bit more than half of that, uh, um, is going to get eaten away with just getting in and even acquiring a box truck if you put a down payment on it, or even if you rent a box truck, putting a down payment on your insurance, uh, things of that nature. I know there's a lot of content out there. So, start a box truck business with $5,000. That's cap. You're talking about over 5 years ago, it might have been possible. You know what I'm saying? But not now. You're not starting a box truck business for less than $5,000. It's not possible. Um, Even then, when people were pushing that, that didn't even add the cost of operating once you got started or cash flowing. But people listen to that shit. Even then, that shit didn't even make sense. So, yeah, I would say about 30 grand. And you got to make that 30 grand work. That's not 30. That 30 grand ain't like a 30 grand I'm in and I got a nice little cushion. That's 30 grand in, and like you need to come in and you need to be working. That cushion ain't that soft. Michael says main problem with moving is man got quit. You gotta find another guy. If you're not on the truck, you gotta get on the truck. Do you know how to get loads for trade shows? I'm in Las Vegas, not in Las Vegas. I've done loads for trade shows in my tenure, but it didn't come from my trucking side. It came from my moving side. So we would have people, companies like trade shows, staging companies call us to do stuff for trade shows. I didn't really like trade shows because it required a lot of just tedious, protocols. One of the main ones was actually entering into the trade show. I'm in Chicago, so just getting into McCormick Place, was difficult. And then it became unionized. So at a point, we weren't even able to do trade shows anymore because if the trade show was being housed in McCormick Place, you couldn't enter into McCormick Place unless you were a union business. And my moving company and my trucking company aren't union, right? So we weren't even able to enter, right? So Mammy H, I've been trying to get a hold of T for some months, but they don't answer me. You gotta go up there, bro. If you start steady calling on the phone, you gotta go up there. They ain't, getting calling on the phone. That ain't. You gotta go up there. For a person who's brand new in the industry, where should I start after obtaining an LLC? After you get your license, have you done research? Have you done a business plan? If you haven't done a business plan, then you need to do that first. What's more money, moving or box truck? Well, you need a box truck to move. Out of all the things you can do with a box truck, moving is going to pay you the most. But it's also going to be the most labor intensive. So if you're not willing to do physical labor, then moving ain't going to be for you. But that's ultimately where you're going to make your most money at. And the gap is wide, very wide. So, you do that, make a shit ton of money. All right. So, yeah. So, Ken, you got to go up there. That super chat. Appreciate that. All right. I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys. If I don't do a live stream prior to the 4th of July, guys, have a happy 4th of July. Don't blow your hands off, please. don't blow your fingers off. Don't do anything that's not in the best interest for you. You know, don't be like M80s and with your hand and then think you're gonna throw it in time, and you don't throw it in time and you blow your finger off. Don't do that. We don't want to have to hold you accountable for blowing your fingers off. All right. We got a moving company, been 10 years, but want to see how we can run it up with the truck. If you got a moving company for 10 years, you should have been ran it up already. How you got a moving company for 10 years, but you want to see how you can run it up with a truck? How you got a moving company and you don't have a truck? I'm confused. I don't get it. How do you got a moving company, but you don't have a truck? If you just got the truck, how you had a moving company for 10 years? How you got a 10-year-old moving company with no truck that if you just got it? So you've been labor only. So you got a labor only company. All right, well, if you're doing labor only pays really good too. It's a lot of people on U-Haul, um, uh, um, uh, the U-Haul moving company, not U-Haul moving company, U-Haul website where, what's the name of that website? Movinghelp.com. It's labor only people on there charge $200 and some an hour just for labor. So, um, yeah, you can make a lot of money with a truck, but shoot, you can also make a lot of money with labor only. Shit, actually, labor only is less, um, requires less licensing, right? Because if you plan on getting licensed, then depending on the state you in, now you got to get your MC, you got to check household, obviously your insurance for household goods moving, all that comes with a hefty premium. So you want to consider that by before getting in. You did a video a year ago about one man moving. Is that still feasible? Yeah, depending on the market you're in. If you're in a huge market, there should be a lot more one man opportunities. There's a lot of one man opportunities out there, you know. On the smaller scale, you know, a lot of 2-3 item moves, lamps, end tables, coffee tables, bankers boxes, things like that. It only requires one man. Trump or Biden? I think that's what's known or need to be explained on that. Who would vote for somebody that couldn't even articulate themselves in a presidential debate? The only people that are going to vote for Biden are people that are 50 years and older that are stuck in their ways. My OG, you can't tell her nothing about Joe Biden. Even after watching the debate. People that are older, even after watching the debate, oh, he all right. He was just sleepy. He was just sleepy. I ain't voting for Trump. I'd rather vote for Biden. Man, you didn't see him? He said he destroyed Medicaid. You didn't hear that? He didn't say that. Well, what debate was you watching? You didn't see his face? That man was stuck. He didn't even know where he was at some points. He couldn't even articulate himself. He mumbling up there. This is who you want to run the country? Let me tell you the play. This the play. I'm gonna tell. See, you know, she just stuck. But you know, that's older people. You know, they don't vote what's in the best for the best interest of them. They just vote the one way or the other. It's either they're Democrat or they're Republican. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you know, Joe could have been up there. Joe could have literally fell asleep at the podium. He could have literally fell asleep, and guess what? Anybody over 50 still gonna vote for him. You know what I'm saying? So, in some cases, you gotta vote for the lesser of the two evils. And you know, politics is politics. I understand that it's always gonna be corruption in politics. I understand that in some cases, and a lot of people may disagree with this, but I come from a corrupt state. Out of our last, 5 or 6 governors, 3 have gone to prison. Uh, I'm from Chicago, where the city was built on corruption. So I come from an understanding that in some aspects, you know, corruption is needed in some aspects for things to sustain, right? I don't think in certain aspects things can be wholeheartedly always ran by the book. So I understand politics, and I understand the corruption of politics, and I understand that each candidate ultimately during their presidency is going to ultimately do things that's going to be in the best benefit of them and their family, to set them and their family up for generations to come in the future. That's ultimately why they take the job, is to set their families up for generations to come. But that decision that each individual makes has to, be in the best benefit of yourself, your family, and the country, right? Do I feel safe after seeing what I saw, as far as safety is concerned, watching Joe Biden? No. If I look at him as weak, what do you think Putin looks at him as? Putin has already demonstrated that he looks at him as weak. That's why he did what he did. Could have been did that. He just knew he couldn't do it with Bush. He knew he couldn't do it with Obama. He couldn't do it with Trump. So he said, if we got any opportunity to do it, now is the time, and he did it. He could have did that shit 20 years ago. He'd been waiting to do it. So, it is what it is. I don't look at it for money. I know a lot of people think that it's going to be money circulated with Trump. I disagree. I think a lot of people are in this mind frame, in the euphoric mind frame of the pandemic and all the free money. And I just associate that with the same individuals that are in that euphoric mind frame of the pandemic and the rates that were given on the load boards at that time, and they're thinking it's going to get back to that. No, it'll never get back to that. So if you're waiting for rates to go back to that way, you are a fool. If you think that it's going to be a shit ton of money circulating as a result of Trump winning the election, you're a fool. It's not. It's not. So if that's what your sole purpose of voting one way or the other is, then that shows where your mind frame is at. You haven't looked at any policies. So you got to look at the safety of the country. You got to understand what's going on with this migration situation and how that ultimately is going to affect you and your business and your family and your children. All right? It's not going to affect them directly at the moment, but over a period of time, it's going to affect you and your family. So if you're not looking at the important things and you're just looking at it thinking, shit, you're going to get some type of stimulus or some PPP, you think all that shit going to come around again, you're going to be sadly mistaken. Inflation, I think eventually, and we haven't talked about hyperinflation. Hyperinflation ain't off the table. We can go into a period of hyperinflation. They already said that we're not going to return to 2%. It's going to take some years. All right. We could go through a period of hyperinflation. The gap of wages, I always throw that out there, but I don't expound on it. I throw it out there for people to go look into it. Right. The gap of the cost of living and the wages is getting wider and wider and wider. All right. People continue to do what's not in the best interest for them, right? And I just let people do it because I laugh at them. I need these people to continue to make these bad mistakes, because ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to lose your assets, and a person like me that understands that going to make sure I have cash on hand to buy them for pennies on the dollar, right? So I know what's going on. I see the play. It's becoming more evident, even with what J.B. Pritzker did yesterday by allowing migrants, illegal migrants, to acquire driver's license, right? I think that's going to be a snowball effect into a lot of other blue states. So the play is more evident to me now. And if you don't do what's in the best interest for you and your family, you're going to ultimately bear the brunt of everything that's currently going on now. If you don't see what's going on now, then that's shame on you. You know, shame on you. Right now is the time to be really, really working and stacking your cash. All that shit you hear motherfuckers talk about online, about these trips and all this dumb shit. If you can afford to take a trip. If you can afford to take a trip, but you say, well, you know what, I want to keep this cash because I understand what's going on, right? Life-changing and wife-changing wealth is being built right now at this moment. What's known don't need to be explained. So when I see people on the internet talking about all this dumb shit, I just let them talk. I just listen. It's a lot going on right now under everybody's noses, but everybody distracted with all the bullshit. Y'all distracted by Sexy Red twerking at the BET Awards. I didn't even know the BET Awards was on Sunday. I found out that the BET Awards happened Monday. I wasn't on social media Sunday. I didn't know. I didn't find out till Monday, right? But people get distracted by all this shit, right? So, you know, if you're running a business, you got to make sure you're doing what's in the best interest of you, and you make sure you're making as much money as possible so that you can appropriate some of that money into things that are going to ultimately make more money, and make sure you have some cash on hand, because something's coming. It's coming. It happens every so many years, and that time is coming where you're going to see a big crash, and it's going to be opportunity. Crash to me is an opportunity, right? Because when crashes happen, things go on sale. And only the people who have cash on hand are going to be able to acquire those things. This is how the rich get rich, and this is how the rich get richer. Because they don't buy things when consumers buy things, right? I don't have a consumer mentality, right? I learned not to have a consumer mentality years ago, right? Rich people buy things during collapses. Consumers buy things at exorbitant cost. That's why they saying afterpay. Listen, all these people taking these trips and buying all this dumb shit on afterpay. If you can't afford it, don't get it. The credit deficit. A lot of people living off borrowed money, their credit cards. So you gotta change your mindset and don't do what the rich say, do what they do. 9 times out of 10, if they steering you one way, they steering you one way because it's not in the best interest of you. They want you to lose everything so that they can come and buy it. The powers that be manipulate markets all the time. Because they have the capital to drive the market one way or another. The housing market, the stock market. Why do you think the cost of living is skyrocketing at a faster rate than wages? You got a lot of corporations, BlackRock, that are in real estate. They're driving up the housing costs, rentals. They're going across the country buying up every single piece of property for sale. I was looking at the news in one suburb here, their taxes are going up 19%. You know how many people are going to be? Listen, it's people in some markets where they're housing their housing taxes. They're spending more money on taxes monthly than what the mortgage is. Right? So, you know, when you're running your business, just keep all this in mind. Because there's going to come a time, maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after next. I don't think it's far away. There's going to be a big reset. And it's going to affect some people negatively, but to the people who understand it, who are prepared for it, it's going to be an opportunity. So I'm about to go to the yard. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.